this. So I'm going to actually let it build up to 40, and then I'll build the quarry, just so that the build order doesn't really mess up that much. And now that the next hut is finished, I can drop down another tent or two, like so. Try and build your stuff into rows of 2 with equal spacing all around it. This is the best way to make that perfect square, so that when you build the bank and the market, you'll get your maximum amount of food and gold from the tents. Okay, so archers are still going. Gonna attack this. So around day 4 is when roaming zombies start to attack your village. So what you want to do is you want to pull back any archers that are veteran, because they're really good at patrolling large areas, and they kill zombies much faster than unveteran rangers. So it's very, very unlikely that a zombie will slip through a veteran ranger as opposed to just a regular scrub. Okay, so at this point, I'm trying to look for where I can get with stone, or where I should put down my stone. And it's similar to how the wood works. You want to have at least 4 stone, but 3 or 4 stone is pretty acceptable early. If you can, the best sort of starting stone to get is 5, but it all depends on your spawn. So you can see I can get 2 stone here, which is actually not quite that good, but I've got a bigger stone patch down here. So I'm going to drop down a Tesla tower, and I'll wait for that to build up, and then put down the quarry. So you can see now I can get stone 4 here, and that's pretty good. So I'm going to drop down the quarry, and once you've dropped down the quarry, again try and get more tents out for more workers, etc. Don't be too afraid about just dropping hunters' huts everywhere. Later on you can delete them to put farms in their place. And also try and build out your tents here. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Tesla towers is they actually do block off paths like this. So when you have 2 rows of tents like this with a single gap in between, by putting a tower here, your military units can't walk past or walk through it. Even though the colonists look like they can seemingly just phase through anything, or phase through it, they can actually phase through everything. Just keep an eye on your rangers. Try not to lose them. If you lose 1 or 2 rangers early on, it could be a little bit problematic. But losing like 1 ranger is not that big of a train smash. Again, keep an eye on the time. The date. On day 4, you want to have your rangers near your home base to protect against roaming zombies. One nice trick that I found while playing on these darkish maps, I think the Dark Moorlands is actually quite a tricky map in terms of vision, because the zombies are quite difficult to spot, and overall the environment is quite dark. So what you can do is hold in the Alt key to show health bars, and you can clearly see that there's a zombie waiting in that corner there. So whenever you're just browsing over your map, zoom all the way out and just hold in tab, and you can spot anything that might come and sneak up and hit a tent once or twice and basically be game over. Okay, so Hunter's Camp is finished, so drop down 2 more tents. I can actually drop 2 more. So one there and one there. One more. Okay. So now at this point, we're basically saving up to we're saving up to 20 stone so we can get the barracks out. During this time, feel free to build resources as you need it. So you can see energy is going a little bit down. You can also drop down a couple more Tesla towers just to expand your territory ever so slightly. I'm going to try and build down to this point so I can build a wall more or less here to block off this area. Definitely a wall here. Maybe a wall here, but ideally what I want is this entire area. So after I'm done just clearing out these zombies here, I'm going to move up to scout this area to see where would be a good place to put a wall. And obviously just a wall up here. This might be a pretty good initial farming place. So let me quickly clear this out. You don't have to clear out all the zombies. It actually is quite time consuming. So just clear out as much as you think you'd need to or as much as you want to build out an area, and then go back to scouting and clearing out other areas. So build another tower up here, and I'm going to drop it over here, and that'll be enough to put down a wall here later on to block off against any sneaky boys coming from the side. Oh, and if you spot anything that looks like a zombie village, run away. Because if you piss off a zombie village, they'll send huge hordes of zombies to attack your archers. And if it's close to your starting base, it could almost be completely game over. They'll just basically zerg rush you to death. There we go. Okay, so it's day 3 now. So day 4 is around the corner. At this point, the zombies are going to start wandering towards your base. Usually like single zombies or maybe 1 or 2. So what you have to do is you have to start setting up patrol zones with your starting archers, and then any extra archers that you make will be basically your wave clearing your wave clearing archers for the rest of the early game. So split your archers up. Archers can run pretty far distances, but essentially what you want to do is make them run into squares more or less, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I've split up the archers here. Think of this square as the square of your screen. So you put your command center more or less in the middle of your screen, and you zoom in. Well, you start off by zooming in and encapsulate all the buildings inside your screen, and then what you do is you set up your archers to patrol the rectangle, the square around your base. So we got this soldier who's patrolling this zone, so we can pretty much ignore it because almost nothing can get past the soldier very, very early on. So we'll set up our first archer to patrol the bottom edge of the square. We'll set up this archer to patrol this half of the square. We'll set up this archer to patrol this part of the square. And then we'll set up this archer up here to patrol this edge of the square. And if you do this, and you can see more or less that all your troops are moving in a square like that, the zombies very, very, very rarely are able to sneak in. So again, we're waiting up for 20 stone. I can drop. Building up too much gold is kind of a bad thing. So again, just drop down the cheap starting food production buildings wherever possible, just to help flesh out your tents. But the real